Howdy there, this is Rudy Cowboy here, and today we're going to make a horse drop a turd here. Now we're going to talk about the most tragic Ultraman Kaiju that I have ever seen. Holy cow. Now let's get started. Our first choice we're going to start here with is Jamila from Ultraman 1966. Now this Kaiju I love, and so as the other two. Now what is this old darn Jamila? Jamila is basically a monster that is a human boy now. I'm telling you, it's a human baby boy now. Now it came out that he was in a rocket ship, alright? He was an astronaut child. I'm telling you that. I wish I was that lucky, but I'm not rich. But either way, he went to outer space and then the ship messed up. He went to Mars and then he mutated. Poor thing, poor child. And in the whole episode, you are thinking that, oh, this thing is a good old monster, big old creepy and very creepy when it comes to the big old sounds and stuff and when it comes to the design. But then you realize, holy crap, this is a child we're talking about here. And then you think to yourself, oh, I feel bad now. But then what makes it worse is that when you find that out, you ain't the only one, and you have Ide here, normally the most happiest and go-lucky person you will ever see. And then you see him, he's all emo and crap. Yeah, this affected him bad. And throughout this episode, he's all depressed as heck because who can blame him? Shitfire! And then the fact that it's a child does not help. Children are innocent. So you see this thing, and then the roars. Now think about it. This thing, it roars like that, and it's suffering. Now ain't no kid need to suffer like that. I'd argue. Well, shit fire. If things have to be this way, it will be this way. But I will tell you, is that what makes it even more insufferable is that those roars, the fact that it's suffering, when Ultraman comes and appears, now, it's such an emotional moment. And when he comes, he has to spray the water. He has to kill him. He has no choice but to because Jamila is harming people. Poor thing don't know better. But he's harming people, so he needs to die. And his weakness is water. So therefore, it's water because he came from Mars. He's basically mutated from all the radiation. So that's why water is his weakness. When Ultraman confronts him, he tries to calm him down, but he has to spray the water. And it is the most depressing thing to watch. And then the final scream or cry that Jamila lets out is the most depressing thing to hear. It is sad. I bawl my eyes every single time. And then that ending to this episode is so well deserved. It is just such a sad episode. The saddest and most mature episode of the whole series. And it's just definitely worth a watch. But Jamila is just tragic. I'll tell you that. And the 1966 series is not as silly as people often think it is. No, it has its dark moments. And so does every other show. Well, shit, fire. That's just my take on it. I don't know about you, but that's pretty dang tragic. Now, I can pretty much see why they don't bring Jamila back. It's because he's just not a kaiju, man. He's a human. He's human like all of us. And that's what's so sad is that the fact that I have to label him as a kaiju is just haunting. This monster is just haunting, and I just don't know how I feel. But no wonder why Tsuburaya doesn't bring him back is because I think that it's necessary we make kaiju like this just stay at their own episode. Because at the end of the day, he's a human, not no kaiju. And sometimes I just see it's kinda insulting to just call him a kaiju. God, I'm getting emotional here. But oh, don't worry. The next one, the next kaiju we're gonna talk about makes you'll freaking cry. Now let's go ahead and get to it. Next is Muruchi, and I'd argue that this is going to be the most tragic out of the 3 kaiju in this list. We are going to talk about his first appeal and the return of Ultraman, and how tragic of a kaiju that is. And God, this gets to my soul every single time I watch it. Now let me tell you about it. Now I stutter too much. Now I'm going to read this from the Wikipedia because my English is so trash. Now let me tell you. The first Muruchi was originally seen chasing after Ryu Sakuma at the beginning of the episode. Until encountered and sealed underground by an alien mate who would later adopt the boy. However, alien mate was tragically shot and killed by a police officer in an angry mob who were trying to kill the boy too. Muruchi arose from the underground and caused havoc, believing that those people were responsible for the innocent alien's murder. Go initially refused to transform into Ultraman Jack. Now think about that. That is dark, because it states that he let the villagers reap for their sins. And seeing Ultraman just refuse to save humanity and thinking that they deserve to die is scarier than anything that anyone would imagine, because for a second he refused to save them. And those cries from that kid is so haunting. I mean it. And you definitely question if the humans deserve the kaiju attack, because Ultraman sure does do that, and normally he would save humans no matter what it is. It's kind of like seeing the Joker make Batman laugh, or seeing Spider-Man not talk while he's fighting. And again, this is another kaiju that the Ultraman of this series just does not want to fight. And you just understand the nature of Muruchi. And you understand that it's a revenge kaiju. It is the emotion of this boy, this innocent boy. He was framed. And I can't even take to watch the depressing ending. I just can't. I can't really take myself to watch the whole episode. That's why I'm only showing photos, because I just can't take myself to rewatch this episode. It's so worth the watch. But also, while worth the watch, it's also very hard to watch. It's traumatic. Gosh. But at least it has a happy ending. And what I mean by that is, not really in this episode, but for the boy, he actually gets his good ending in the show Ultraman Mebius, where we get to see this Zoa Muruchi. And he finally has his time to finally find himself get a life. And I feel happy for that. But honestly, that just kind of ruins the message of this story for this specific episode. So I have my ups and downs about that episode in Mebius. But overall, Muruchi is just I think, in my opinion, he's the most tragic kaiju ever made. So next we have up on this list is Leogon from The Return of Ultraman. Yeah, we're doing another Return of Ultraman kaiju again. Now, I mentioned this in my most previous video on the Jirex video about Leogon and how he's basically the improvement on Jirex and the precursor to Biollante. Now let me go and explain this. And this monster alone has a great tragedy of its own. It all starts with our main protagonist being Hideaki Go when he meets his childhood best friend, once again, Mizuno. And which, just like in the scientist that we barely talked about in the last video, this scientist wants to create life. And what type of life? Well, a kaiju, of course. So, of course, it has to be a mad scientist, and his father was a scientist himself who neglected his own child. Now think about it, he neglected his own child. How do you think he must have felt? So he must be more insane than his own father, because his own father made him. So then, of all things that he wanted to make, he wanted to create a kaiju, and of course that kaiju he treats like his own son. Now he goes and babies this whole thing, and it has attitude problems. You see right here, it's going through deep stages of puberty, and I'll tell you, I would not let my kids do that. I would whack them in the head. And if they don't want to mess with no black mama now, they'll curse them out now. But that's a whole different story now, I'll tell you that. Now it looks like this young kid here he hears some massive squeaking in his mother's room. On the bed, squeaking, a lot of squeaking. I'm kind of worried, but then there you go. You see this monster, that's actually what's causing the squeaking. Now, he isn't being very Christian at this moment, I'll tell you that. He was really expecting something that wasn't a monster. I think he's pretty naughty. But either way, right here at this moment, he decides to snitch. Why does he have to do that? Because the events following, well, let's just get to them. So the FBI starts investigating the man, and then the man pulls the Stop the Asian Hate card, and then they're not convinced, they make their way through, and then tragedy happens. Go is forced to go and interrogate his best friend and find out that he's raising a monster that he has to kill, and he's forced with the dilemma that he has to kill his best friend's own baby. Well, if he only was a better parent and smacked him in the behind, and everything would be better. And if that kid didn't snitch, which I'm gonna take that kid and throw him into the trash can, none of this would have happened. So then, what happens, and then, well, he commits suicide to early stage Biollante, basically. Dark stuff because of addiction. And that's kind of dark because this is real stuff. Like, people would kill themselves over things like this. It's just, it's sad. So let me explain. So he's forced to help Matt take the monster, lure him, and then do something about this. But the dark truth is that he's going to have to let Matt rather do something about it, but mostly just kill the dang thing. And it only takes Go to halfway convince him to do it, but halfway is the key words. Because overall, Go, although he is his childhood best friend, that thing is his own son. So here we are, they're going and taking out the monster. And he realizes with the guilt he has over bad parenting, he can't watch something happen to his own child. And he can't live with that. So he'd rather die with his own son as an apology. So he runs up and he does the sad stuff. This is addiction, everyone.
Leogon! Leogon! 水野さん、どうしたんです？水野さん、水野さん、水野さん、水野、戻ってこい、水野。
It states in the Ultra Wiki that Leogon shares several traits with the Toho Kaiju Biollante, as both of them were created by the same man, Shinichiro Kobayashi. Both kaiju are plant-animal hybrids that appear in stories with the science gone too far theme. Interestingly, Leogon was designed by the same concept artist, Keiko Yadane, who submitted the initial concept design for Biollante for Toho, which are complied in the book Godzilla vs. Biollante Completion. In Yadane's own 2014 art book, he revealed that his final form Biollante concept art was inspired directly by, you guessed it, Leogon. It also states that, curiously, the location where Jack and Leogon fight is the same location where Godzilla and Biollante fight for the first time in Lake Ashi or Asahashi or whatever. I hope I didn't butcher it. So apparently Leogon, in fact, is the inspiration for Biollante. Why is it that only the Ultraman fans that dig for the history of Ultraman try to dig for things like this and know more things than Godzilla fans do? No, not at Godzilla fans, but most Godzilla nerds don't know about this, and it's because they just don't watch Ultraman, and they need to. It's the last surviving thing we have for Suitmation when it comes to tokusatsu kaiju battling. Anyways, this is Rudy Cowboy from Ultra Central, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. God bless you.